South Africa was a late arrival to the so-called BRICS Club of leading emerging economies. It joined in 2011. But one Italian businessman was already betting on the country's future back in 1990. Willy Persico is head of Southern Wind, whose shipyard in Cape Town makes high-performance sailing yachts in carbon fibre. We sent Monocle's Milan correspondent Ivan Carvalho to talk with Persico at Southern Wind's head office in Genoa. He heard how he took the long view and overcame the business culture of the then apartheid government to build a business that is today one of the country's brightest spots.
My adventure in South Africa started 23 years ago when I decided to build a sailing boat for me. So I purchased the design from Ron Holland and another one from Bruce Farr, two leading designers in the world. And a friend of mine suggested to build the boat either in New Zealand or South Africa, where the costs were much lower than in Europe. This is why I decided to go to South Africa first, because I liked South Africa a lot. Second, because there is no jet lag to South Africa. We have same local time, and so it was much easier to communicate to South Africa and to travel to South Africa back to Europe with shorter time and very easy communications. The shipyard where I started my construction of my boat was a small shipyard with experience in sailing boat. Unfortunately, after a few months, when my boat and the boat of a friend of mine who was asking me to take care of his boat were just a hull and two decks and the two engines, the shipyard went on bankruptcy, in liquidation. So I had the doubt what to do, either to lose the two hulls, because I was responsible also for the hull of my friend, and therefore go and start again in another place. But I took this challenge as continue to complete the boat, to launch the boat, and then see what to do. We try to develop locally, because we understand that if no other chance to produce well, that have the people in-house. And still we have people working with me from 22 years, which in South Africa is a lot. There is a lot of the movement of people, change of job from here to there is quite frequent.
So in the early years, how was it presenting yourself as an Italian with a shipyard in South Africa?
Well, an Italian South Africa was a very strange combination. Keep in mind that at that time South Africa was still having the apartheid on, and the first 3 years it was still the white government and apartheid on force. Atmosphere was very complicated. South Africa at that time, due to the apartheid, had a very short sight. They were short-sighted because they were expecting the life was lasting 6 months or 1 year, no more than that. So somebody arriving and planning the next 5 years was something unusual for South Africa. South Africa was in need to create a relationship to the rest of the world. So they set up a law by which every good exporter from South Africa was receiving a benefit of about 15-20%. Say 20% at the beginning, reduce it to 15, which is a lot of money. After a few years, after my arrival in South Africa, the money devoted to the export incentives finished. And the other shipyard gave up and went on liquidation. I thought it was stupid, because the quality of the workers, the skill of the technicians was encouraging me not to approach South Africa as a short-term business, but a long-term business.
What sort of lessons did you learn starting this enterprise?
If you think in a modern way to the future, if you are not afraid that the market, the economy can go up and down, you can cope with an unforeseen situation like the crisis started 4 years ago. And when the crisis started in 2007, we had quite large amount of profit accumulated in the past years. Therefore, I decided to invest this money in new building, new premises. So while the other shipyards were refraining from investing or and they were reducing the labor force, I kept more or less the same labor force. Maybe I optimized it, reducing during 5 years by 50, from 300 went down to 250. But why? I reduced the number of low-level workers. I increased the number of high-level workers, high-skilled workers. Every year, we present to the market a new model, a new boat, modern design, and that has happened during the last 4 years. We are now going to the boat show showing a new boat, while our competitors are showing the same yachts they were showing last year and 2 years ago. Maybe new build, but the same model. That has given us kind of a privilege in the marketing of our boats.
That was our man in Milan with Will Persico of Southern Wind.